Hey guys, it's time for math. Or today for math, we're learning about time. See what I did there? Pretty funny, right? All right, so let's get started by looking at these clocks here. First, we're going to look at that clock on the top. And what time do you think that clock says? First, look at the hour hand. Excuse me. Then look at the minute hand. And if you said 2:35, you are correct. So the hour hand is between the 2 and the 3, which lets us know we're about halfway into the hour. But that minute hand is on the 7, and 5 times 7 is 35, right? Very good. Now let's look at that next clock. What time does that clock say? Well, the hour hand is pretty close to the 3, right? Well, that should give it away that it is not quite 3 o'clock yet, but it's close. We haven't actually reached the 3 yet, which means it's still 2. So if you said 2:45, then you are correct. It is 2:45. 5 times 9 is 45, and the 9 is where our minute hand is. Now let's think of a couple other ways that we could explain this time. How many minutes to 3 is it if it's 2:45? How many minutes do we have until it's 3 o'clock? Well, you can count by fives until you get to the 12, right? Because 12 is when our hour starts over. The 10 would be 5, the 11 would be 10, and then getting to the 12 would be 15. So it's 15 to 3. 15 minutes until it reaches 3 o'clock. Well, our previous unit talked about fractions, right? So when we talked about fractions, we talked about half, which would be at the 6, right? That's the half of the hour. Well, what about when we talked about fourths or quarters? We could also divide our clock into quarters. The first quarter would be when we reach the 3. The second would be 6. The third would be the 9. And then once we reach that 12, we have completed that last quarter. Can you imagine that? Well, we could also say it is a quarter to 3. So you'll keep that in mind as you are working through your homework. All right, now let's look at that last clock. What time does that clock say? Well, it looks like the hour hand is on the 3, doesn't it? We're pretty close. But if you see how far the minute hand is into the hour, that gives it away that it is towards the very end of the hour. So anytime that minute hand is around, it starts really at the 9. So once it's in that last 9, 10, 11, before getting to the 12, it's going to look like it's pointing at the next hour, but it isn't quite yet. We haven't reached that hour, but we're getting so close to that hour that it looks like our hour hand is pointing to that number. But actually, this clock is telling us that it is 2:52. Or you could just say about 10 to 3, right? We have about 10 minutes until 3. So if it is not pointing directly at a number, you can just say, oh, it's about, whichever one it's closest to say, oh, about 10 minutes. About means it's close, not exactly, but about 10 minutes. So that can be used on your homework too. All right, now here I have 12 o'clock midnight, 12 o'clock noon, and then 12 o'clock midnight again. So as we go through a full day, really our day starts at midnight. Now y'all can see AM there means morning, and midnight doesn't seem like morning, does it? No, but that is when our morning hours begin. So then we have 1 a.m., 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. So midnight is considered a.m. Well, then we reach 12 o'clock, but now it's p.m. Now it's noon. It's in the middle of our day. And in the middle of our day at noon, that is when our evening hours begin. Then it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock into the evening. So I need you all to pay close attention when it says a.m. That's morning. A comes first in the alphabet, right? That's in the morning. And then p.m. is in the afternoon hours. And then we're going to approach midnight again, and that is when our day starts all over again. So it goes from midnight, noon, then to midnight again. And the only way we can know if someone says, "Oh, it's 1 o'clock." It was 1 o'clock when that happened. You have no idea if it was 1 o'clock in the morning or if it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon if someone doesn't say a.m. or p.m. Okay? So, next, down at the bottom of this slide, you can see number 1 says 2 o'clock a.m. and then 2 says 2 o'clock p.m. So I'm going to give you a scenario, and I want you to tell me which you think is the answer. So I got an invitation to a party at 2 o'clock. It's my mom's birthday party. Do you think it's number 1, 2 o'clock a.m., or do you think it's number 2, 2 o'clock p.m.? You should have said 2 o'clock p.m. because we are all asleep at 2 o'clock a.m. That is right in the middle of the night. So although it says a.m. and it makes you think morning, that's actually in the middle of the night because you think about it compared to midnight. That is when our hours start over. So let's look through these pretty quick. We're going to see how much time has passed. So the start time is 2:10. The end time is 2:35. How much time has passed? So we count the numbers. We count the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6. So counting by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 25 minutes has passed there. Now, what about these clocks? The start time is 4 o'clock. The end time is 6 o'clock. Well, there's just one number between them, so is just 1 hour in between? No. From 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock is 1 hour, and from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock is another hour, making the time between 4 and 6 2 hours. Now here's a video of my face. Ready? Oh no! Is it not going to let me play the video? Here we go. Oh no, sorry. I'm making this crazy. Okay, so now you all have some individual work I want you to do. When this video is over, I want you to turn to page 40, or I just got those flipped around, to page 64 in your math textbook and find the answer to the question on that page. And then after you do that, I want you to flip over to page 67 and complete numbers 4 through 6. Okay, so that will be some practice for you, and then you can have your parents check your work. Good luck. I hope this was helpful to you, and if you all need me to make some extra videos on time for you, I'm happy to, but next week we will be moving on to a different topic. So hopefully you all feel confident with time. There's a couple other exercises you could do in your textbook too if you'd like. So good luck on those assignments, guys.